Every time a major watch brand comes out with something new, YouTube creators get busy publishing videos on the news and providing opinions. Such is the case with the announcement of the Oris Calibre 400 and the first watch to use this movement. So what the heck? I'll follow the crowd. However, I'm going to take the opportunity to discuss this new movement in relationship to the entire Oris line of watches, to see if there's a model I find interesting. Stay tuned to this episode of Adventures with Time. I'm sure by now you've heard about the Oris announcement and read or listened to a few discussions about their new in-house movement, the Calibre 400. So I'll just summarize the key talking points and move on to the Oris line of watches and how this new movement fits in. Other than being an in-house movement, I would say the most impressive attribute of the 400 is the recommended service interval. Oris is proposing a 10-year service interval, and they are sort of backing up that recommendation with a 10-year warranty. This reduces one of the main issues in in-house movements, being the cost of service. Increasing the interval to 10 years would take a bite out of the service costs. The other key point that Oris would surely like to promote is its 5-day power reserve. This is achieved with the help of a double spring barrel while keeping that 28,800 beats per hour. But is that an advantage for you? Although some cool engineering is involved, I'm not sure that it is a feature that would drive me to buy a watch. To me, the most compelling feature is the anti-magnetic resistance this movement is stated to have. The claim is that they exposed this watch to 2,250 Gauss and saw only a 10-second per day deviation in accuracy. Magnetic resistance is something about which I've become increasingly concerned. Later on in this video, I'll discuss how Oris's Calibre 400 fits into their watches and what it will cost you. I've never owned an Oris watch. I have tried on a few of their watches at the wind-up shows in New York City, as you'll see later on in this video. But I've never found one of their watches that sparked enough interest to buy. Given this recent burst of content around the new movement, I've decided to completely review the 4 collections into which Oris categorizes their watches: diving, aviation, culture, and motorsport. Let's begin with culture, what I would describe as their dress watches. This collection is divided into 2 sub-collections. Oris Classic consists of one named watch with 25 models, the Oris Classic date. Size, material, dial color, and strap options are selected to determine which watch model is most appropriate for you. All models are classical 3-handed watches with a date window. All watches have a dial with 2 levels on it to highlight the hour indices. The Oris Atelier grouping has a broader selection of designs. This includes complications such as power reserve, GMT, day-night indicator, moon phase, day indicator, as well as skeletonized dials. Pick your poison, as the saying goes. I didn't see anything in the culture collection that I wanted, so let's move on to the motorsport collection. This collection has 4 groups of watches. The Oris Chronoris, if I've got that right, is a line of chronographs in what I would call a turtle-shaped case. The Oris Williams is named after the Formula One racing team and also includes chronographs, but with more racing-inspired look. The models of the Oris Atrix GT line all include a bidirectional bezel with a rubber outer edge, and there is 1 chronograph in this line. Finally, there is the Oris TT1 set of watches within the Motorsport line. These seem to have a general sport look to them. Like the Culture collection, I don't see any model within the Motorsport line that interests me. Now in the Aviation collection, the Oris Big Crown Pointer Date and the Big Crown Pro Pilot are the 2 major model lines. There are also a few limited edition models. Within the Big Crown group, the Big Crown Pointer Date is the main watch. The Pointer Date is a three-handed watch with the addition of a fourth hand that indicates a date on a track at the outermost edge of the dial. I tried on one of these watches. However, the model I tried on was a black dial with a bracelet. This watch was too monotone for me. However, I would consider one of the other dial color options. This watch is pretty nice looking. The Pro Pilot models are more traditional looking pilot watches, some with inner rotating bezels and a chronograph. There are two other small groups of watches in the Aviation collection: the Pro Pilot X, a watch with a skeleton dial, and the BC3 models, which consist of 16 models, each with very readable dials. Then there is the Oris diving collection. There are essentially two lines within the diving collection. However, there are three Oris provider watches described as professional divers watches. Of the two main lines, the Oris Divers is composed mostly of the Oris 65. The 65 is a throwback to the Oris Divers from the 1960s, a classically styled watch sized at either 36 or 40 millimeters and rated for 100 meters of water resistance. You can choose from a variety of dial colors, bezel options, and straps. And this brings us to the Oris Aquis line. There are several separate models in this line, but the main group is the Oris Aquis Date. This is where the new Calibre 400 has been put to use. But let's hold on for just a minute more before we talk about that. The Oris Aquis Date comes in 40 different models ranging in size from 36.5 to 43.5 millimeters and in several dial colors. I tried on both the blue and black dial models. This model lists for $2,200 US, uses the Salida 200-1 movement. It is a very nice and popular dive watch. But now one has to consider the Aquis Date 400, essentially the same watch, but uses the new Calibre 400 we discussed before. Now I can't tell without seeing each of these watches together live whether the dial and bezel colors are the same across these watches. However, the prices certainly don't match. The new Oris Aquis Date 400 retails for $1,300 more at $3,500 US. So one has to make the determination, if you're interested in the Aquis Date, if the Calibre 400 is worth the roughly 50% increase in price. I'm not sure. As I mentioned, the key features for me of the Calibre 400 is the increased anti-magnetic protection and the longer service interval. What do you think? Are you a fan of the Aquis? And if so, would you go for the Calibre 400? Some have claimed that this is too chunky of a watch, even for a diver. For me, I don't think the Aquis or any of the other Oris models, aside from the Big Pointer Date, are in my sights. But who knows? Things can always change. And speaking of change, here is a video on field watches and another on choosing a classic Flieger watch. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video.